Okay, we are live. I want to welcome everybody back to Walks on Wall Street. Today is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and wow, is it a busy day today? Now today, as we know, if you tuned into the live stream last night, well, we were covering the conclusion of the FOMC meeting. Now, for those of you who do not know what that is, the FOMC meeting stands for Federal Open Market Committee meeting, which is the two-day meeting at the Federal Reserve, and in which case today was the conclusion of that meeting. I'm sure all of you got a chance to watch the Fed Chairman, Jerome Powell himself, give his speech and give us a little bit of an update on monetary policy. Now, the update on the policy is that there's no change, as expected. We were sort of predicting this last night on the stream, and many of the viewers and the chatters thought the same. So as a quick review, the Fed funds rate is in a target range of 5.25% to 5.5%, and that is where it will stay, at least for now. Now, throughout the course of the live stream tonight, we're going to talk about the speech, a lot of the verbiage, a lot of the feedback, and kind of just give a little bit of an update on really what the Federal Reserve as a whole and the Fed Chairman, Jerome Powell, thinks the precedent should be for monetary policy. Now, if you haven't seen the speech, actually, you know what? Now that I'm near my computer, let me see if I could drop the speech in the chat. Just bear with me one moment. Might as well, right? Might as well. All right, so if you look in the chat, you will see my name highlighted. It'll be like a sort of like an orange box. It'll say Walks Wall Street. Go ahead and click the link. That'll bring you to the CNBC.com's YouTube channel and save that link. Okay, so that is the full unedited speech, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's speech after the Fed holds interest rates steady. So I would give that a watch tonight. Really pay attention to the verbiage and the tone, right? I thought it was a hawkish speech. I thought it could have been more hawkish, but we'll sort of go through that today and talk about it. Now, more importantly, I think is the movement of the bond market. So if you go to cnbc.com/bonds, once again, that is cnbc.com/bonds. The bond market actually sold off a little bit today, which kind of makes sense, right? Because I would say about midway through the speech, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell hinted at the fact that there's probably going to be one more 25 basis point rate hike by the end of the year. And the bond market really sold off. And if we understand how bonds work, or fixed income works, as bond prices go down, yields go up, and vice versa, right? So the bond market is pricing in, or is probably at least starting to price in, another rate hike. So let's go ahead and look at the yield curve here. Once again, if you go to cnbc.com/bonds, you can follow along with us. Let's take a look at that one-year U.S. Treasury yield. It's yielding 5.485%. And we'll look at the main spread on the yield curve, which the majority of economists and analysts on the street look at. That is the spread between the 10 and the 2s. Okay, so the 2-year Treasury is 5.189%, and the 10-year is 4.441%. Okay, so you still have this pretty aggressive inversion across the curve. We'll talk about what that means tonight and sort of how we can use the bond market as a proxy of how institutional investors feel about the economy. Right, and it all has to do with fund flows, and it all has to do with liquidity. Because if you think about it, we'll quickly explain it, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail. If you are a money manager, right, on Wall Street, and your outlook on the economy and the equity market is negative, right? Let's say if the vast majority of smart money on the street is negative on the market. They think the stock market's going to go down over the next, 12 to 24 months. Well, then they would feel more than comfortable buying long duration debt, right? And that's sort of what creates that inversion in the yield curve, because they're like, you know what, I don't think equities are going to perform really well. I'm more than happy locking up my money in a long duration bond. And essentially, as you have investors purchasing long duration debt, right? So anything 5 years all the way to the 30-year treasury, that's going to have put pressure on yields, right? So if you have a lot of buying on the long end of the curve, you're going to have those yields come down on the long end of the curve. And if you have selling on the short end of the curve, well, guess what? You're going to have rates go up. And that's what really creates that inversion of the yield curve. So it's not only important just to keep your eye on where rates are across the curve. What's most important, in my opinion, is tracking the movements of the yield curve. Is it in a transitory phase, right? Or is the yield curve going from an inversion to a flat yield curve to a steep yield curve? Or is the transition going from a steep curve to a flat curve to an inversion, right? That's very important, and not a lot of people sort of understand that dichotomy. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth today. Equity market, right? S&P 500 sold off about 41 points. S&P was down about 1% on the day. 4,400 even, pretty much, is where the S&P closed. But let's check out the NASDAQ 100 futures. If you look at ticker symbol NQ, that is the ticker for the NASDAQ 100 futures contract, we opened down about 50 points, okay? 15,100 across the board in the NASDAQ 100, and then we'll take a quick peek at the Dow 30 before we check on some commodities prices and precious metals. Now, the ticker symbol for the Dow 30 E-mini futures contract is YM. We opened down about 30 points. The Dow is trading at 34,693. Fed Chair Jerome Powell talked a lot about energy prices in today's Fed speech. Might as well take a look at crude oil. Ticker symbol CL. That is the ticker symbol for light crude oil futures. Crude came down quite substantially today, actually, trading at $88 a barrel. Now, remember, last night on the live stream, we briefly broke $92 a barrel for crude. So I think this is a pretty important correction to be watching here. And we'll take a look at gold. We'll see the movements there. Gold's trading at about $1,925 an ounce. Okay, let's go ahead and close up the laptop here, everybody. I want to welcome you all back to the stream. Thank you all for joining us. We do have a lot of new viewers to Walks from Wall Street, and I just want to thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for joining. I think this is a lot of fun, and I love chatting with all of you each night, and I look forward to it. So give me just a couple moments here. I'm going to close up the laptop, and then we will dive right into the stream because we are going to be talking about the FOMC meeting, and we'll give a little bit of a precursor on Friday when we hear from our friends in Japan, the BOJ. Whoops. I almost yanked the whole camera off the gimbal there. All right, let me clip the microphone on here. Man, I feel like the temperature just dropped like 30 degrees while I was sitting down. All right, all right. Oh, I guess it's appropriate to tell you guys where we're reporting live from. That would help. This is Madison Square Park. Oof. God. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. We are reporting live from the inside of Madison Square Park. This is a really beautiful park here in the Flatiron District. Whoops. Getting a phone call. Now, something unrelated I just wanted to note here real quick. You know what I noticed? Now that I'm in the real estate business, almost all of my calls, in terms of like inbound calls, happen right around this time. So any text messages, any gram, about the business, or even just clients that are getting back to me, they always get back to me like right now. And I think that kind of makes sense, right? Now that I'm thinking about it, because especially during the week, everybody's working during the day, and everybody has time to collect their thoughts right at the end of the day, right around 9 o'clock, 9:30. They're sitting down, the kids are home from school, the day's kind of winding down, so they have time to, sort of follow up, which is probably, I may have to reconsider the time of day I do the stream, because for prospecting, that may be like the best time to do outbound, which may sound crazy, but if everybody is on their phone texting and calling at 9 o'clock at night, that may be a good time to hit the phones. Anyway, totally unrelated, so disregard that. Let's pull off to the side here and say hello to everybody in the chat, because that is the most important part of the stream. My friends, we cannot forget the most important part, and that is you. Jafet Perez is here, Sunset Blue, British Gray, what's up? Jay Grant is here, Jafet Perez, Lena Sandoval, Zach Drew, Daniel Diamond Dave, welcome. D is here, Wendy England, Teresa Diaz, Gigi NYC, always a pleasure to have you. Joe Ratz, Wendy England, Optimus 17, Hang with Mark Mom, what's up? Always good to see you. Black Valley is here, welcome. Austin City Limits, Tony, RK8, welcome. Valor Rabbit, Brad's Brain, appreciate it. Juan Fernandez, always a pleasure to have you here. Tom AK, appreciate you very, very much. Brian, By the Book, Nicholas Prasad. Oh, you're at the New Jersey Transit Station, about to head back to New Jersey. We will be back in the city on Monday. Love that, Nicholas, let's connect. Joan is here from Costa Rica. Ooh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I will be back in Miami though, Joan, pretty soon, which has similar climate to Costa Rica, right? It's gonna be nice, it's gonna be warm. Hopefully. Evan Weeks was in the chat earlier. I saw him. Good to see you, Evan, as always, my friend. And he brought up a really good point. This hurricane season is kind of crazy. Actually, let's go this way. There's gonna be a little bit better views here. This hurricane season is kind of crazy. Obviously, we had Hurricane Lee, right, that thankfully missed the United States, sort of kind of went all the way up the coast, kind of by Nova Scotia. But there's also, right now, a couple more tropical depressions, I guess, forming. So you never know, maybe we're gonna get hit and smacked with a big one. Hopefully not while I'm down there. We'll see, we'll see. Hey, Sally is here, what's up? Good to see you. Evan Weeks says there's an invest forming off the coast of Florida right now, and another aiming at the Caribbean later next week. Well, let's hope not, because, but knowing my odds, I think right as I get to South Florida, Miami, it's probably gonna be like raining like crazy almost every day I'm there. We'll see, we'll see. So tonight we are gonna head all the way down to the Village, particularly the West Village. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a walk around SoHo. We'll go over to Chinatown and Little Italy. I know the San Gennaro's feast is going on right now, so maybe if it's not too busy, we'll have a little bit of a walk around there. But I think what everybody is sort of anticipating for on this live stream is just a quick conversation about the new updated monetary policy environment that we got today from the Federal Reserve. So if you have not seen Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech yet, if you go to CNBC's YouTube channel, I believe you can watch the replay, because it was actually live. I think it's very important to note some of the things that he was sort of forecasting. I would say telegraphing is probably the more important and the more appropriate word. But in my view, right, how I interpreted this, things are going to be higher for longer and potentially even a lot longer. So the decision was not to raise interest rates, and I think pretty much everybody was in agreement with that. If you tuned into the live stream yesterday, we sort of were all placing our bets relation to what the Fed is going to do. Almost everybody said in the chat that we're going to have a little bit of a pause here. But during the speech today, Fed Chair said that it's probably almost more than likely they're going to raise interest rates at least one more time before the end of the year. Now, that's only 3 or 4 months away, guys. September is almost over, which is wild. We have about maybe a week and a half left of September, and then it's Q4. So welcome to Q4 prematurely, I guess. So rates stayed unchanged, right? The target rate is 5.25% to 5.5%. Now, if you remember a lot of the articles we've been covering, a lot of economists were saying 5.5% is the peak, and then we're going to start to cut and, transition from this quantitative tightening cycle to a quantitative easing cycle. I'm in very, very harsh disagreement with that. I believe we are going to stay higher for longer, and there's really no reason or no need for the Federal Reserve to start cutting interest rates. The Fed chair said it himself today on the live stream. He said, look, we are committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% target. Right now, inflation's right at 3.7? Did CPI come in last week? Right around there. And he even said the economy has been way more resilient than we have ever expected. That was sort of verbatim out of his mouth. He said the economy has been very, very resilient, and we thought our hiking cycle, they've raised almost 500 basis points, was going to put a lot more pressure on the US economy. But consumers have been very resilient, and particularly the housing market has held up pretty well, right? So if you can sort of read between the lines here as we're looking at the Empire State Building, he wants inflation to come back down to that 2% target. He wants to see unemployment rise materially, I would say to about 5%. And that hasn't happened yet. So until that happens, I don't even think we could have a rate cut conversation even in the cards. So I don't know. For anybody here who have watched the live stream today, is that sort of the overall takeaway that you got as well? Because that's what I got. I got very hawkish. I mean, at least till Q2 of next year, like at least. And inflation needs to come back down to the 2% target, or there's no shot at even having a conversation at cutting. All right, so we are now outside of the Flatiron Building, one of my favorite buildings in the city. Unfortunately, it is totally, I would say, covered in scaffolding. Hey, Beacon, New York, what's up? Good to see you. Jafet Perez says, we've had low rates for 10 years. Time to get back to reality. No more easy money. I would agree with that. Juan Fernandez says, housing is super inflated right now. Prices for rent was one of the reasons CPI was so high. Well, it's usually a lagged effect, right? Housing, and we've talked about this a lot now on the stream, particularly residential and commercial, are usually the last asset classes to reprice. And that's mainly due to liquidity. The more liquid an asset class is, the more, I would say, the more quickly that particular asset class reprices. And I think we are just in the early innings of seeing price declines and seeing maybe even some mispricing in the real estate market. I think the biggest sector, I would say section of the real estate market that's probably going to get hit the most is commercial. And we're seeing some, I'm actually already seeing some pretty good deals, and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. So you're just starting to see rents roll over. You're just starting to see shelter costs roll over. Not to sound like a broken record, but let's cross the street here. If you type CPI in the chat, once again, type CPI in the chat, and the Nightbot is going to drop a really good resource, right? So that will be the 12-month rolling average for the CPI number broken down by category. And what I want you to do is deselect every single category except shelter costs. And you'll start to see a really interesting trend play out. For the past 3 months, shelter has finally started to come down, and that has lagged pretty much everything else. So you've seen commodities come down, you've seen pretty much everything come down in price, thankfully, except shelter. And shelter costs makes up about 40% of the entire CPI number. So if you think about where CPI is right now, right around 3.7%, if we start to have a significant or material decline in shelter costs in that category, I mean, you could get to 2% target in a hurry. So we'll see. The biggest issue now that we have to deal with is the cost of energy, unfortunately, because crude oil is really getting a move on here. Last night, briefly, crude oil hit $92 a barrel. Now we're back down to 88. Hey, B-Balls, did I hear you say they want to see unemployment rise to 5%? If yes, why would that be the case? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking back to when Fed President John Williams was sort of, having his address, right, and giving his update. So, if you sort of remember back to that conversation, he said we want to see unemployment roughly right around 5%, even for us to have a discussion to even think about cutting interest rates. Now, you may ask, why is that? Well, the whole point of monetary policy is to sort of pull the strings and the levers on the economy, right? So when the economy's not doing well, when economic growth and GDP growth is a little bit stagnant, so to speak, one of the things the Federal Reserve can do is to ease up monetary conditions. They can make the cost of capital a lot cheaper, right, by lowering interest rates, and they could provide liquidity to the marketplace by purchasing treasuries and securities, right, by the Fed balance sheet. That's another thing the Federal Reserve Chairman was talking about tonight. He said that although we are going to pause on the interest rate hiking cycle, we are going to continue to let U.S. Treasuries and mortgage-backed securities roll off the balance sheet. So, thinking about the situation we're in, right, interest rates are sort of going back to normal. We have yet to see the real full effect of the hiking cycle take place on the economy. Because unemployment rate, it's still at one of the lowest levels in the country's history, guys. And inflation is not yet back down to the 2% target. So one of the main factors in inflation is wage inflation. So if you have, that looks so fun, rollerblading throughout the city. Man, that looks so fun, just crushing the whole city on rollerblades or skates. I don't know the difference, rollerblades or skates. Anyway, so yeah, if you think about like the wage price spiral, the employment market has been white hot. There's been jobs readily available for a lot of people, which means employers have been competing for employees. And one of the ways employers compete for employees is they, bid up the salaries, they bid up the wages, which adds to the inflation fire here. So that would be one of the reasons why they would want to see unemployment actually tick up a little bit. Raleigh hikers, is it blurry or is it just me? Let me see. It may be me. I've been having some technical difficulties all day tonight. Hey Noah, this is Tom. Thoughts on Instacart's sell-off today, the general IPO sell-off trend? Well, very, very seldom almost never will I ever participate in an IPO. And one of my good friends actually wrote a book. I'm going to recommend the book right now, if you'd like to read it. Her name is Eve Bobach, and she wrote the book with Kathy Donnelly. And the book is called Life Cycle Trade. I would highly, highly recommend everybody go get that book and read it if you want to know a little bit more about the IPO market, right? Exactly what an IPO is, understanding the market mechanics of an IPO, how investment banks pitch investors on IPOs, and fundamentally, what is it, right? And how they perform over time. So check out that book. A good friend of mine, Eve Bobach, wrote the book. Once again, these American flags look fantastic. 10 out of 10 on the flags. The book is called Life Cycle Trade. If you want a copy, actually, if you send me an email, I'll just send you a book. I'll send you one. I have like tons of copies in my house in Miami. But think about it like this. The majority of IPOs, they will trade below their IPO price within the first 12 months of them going public. So Eve Bobach and Kathy Donnelly did a study going back to the early 1980s on all new issues. And the vast majority of stocks that go public on the market trade below their IPO price within the first 12 months. Now there's a reason for that, right? Because when a stock goes public, there's usually a lot of shares changing hands between the private ownership to then the public ownership, right? And that could include, private equity, venture capital, employees of the particular company, right? And those shares are being bought by the public, which could be big institutional investors, it could be big investment banks, it could be people like me and you. And one of the main ways that institutions accumulate shares of a stock, when a company goes public, let's say if you're at a big bank or something like that, they'll assign an analyst to the stock, right? So it's called like initiating coverage on the stock. And essentially, they want to make sure before they make a sizable investment in the company that the company is on track to producing the revenue results, the EPS results, and the gross margin results that were promised in the IPO pitch deck, right? Because a lot of times, companies will give these, very outlandish and ambitious predictions for profitability, for revenue, and that's why usually IPOs trade very volatile for the first 12 months, maybe even sometimes 2 years, because big money on Wall Street wants to make sure the quarterly reports are coming in as expected, right? Are they hitting their revenue targets? Are they hitting their EPS estimates? Are they hitting their gross margin estimates, right? Is management doing their jobs, or are they being derelict in their duties? So that's sort of called the due diligence phase, if you will. That's like the IPO due diligence phase. And if you have, 6 to 8 consecutive beat and raise quarters when that company goes public, one of the things you'll notice is in a huge increase in very notable institutional investors buying the stock. So you may have the best mutual funds on Wall Street initiating positions and accumulating those positions. And that is right around where, the stock tends to find a base and it starts to have its markup, right? It's sort of like the due diligence accumulation phase. Additionally, I'll quickly say this and then we'll quickly move on. If you're a big institution running multiple billions of dollars. It's not like, you and me who may be running, a couple $100,000 or a couple $1,000,000, right? It takes sometimes months, if not maybe a year or two, to build in a full position size, right? If you want to buy $1 billion worth of stock, it's not like these institutions are just going, to some mid-sized company and clicking market buy on $1 billion worth of stock. It's not how that works, right? They would totally destroy their entry price. They slowly size into that position over time, and that takes time, right? So that's also something to note, but that's the main reason why I never participate, or very, very seldom do I participate in the IPO on the IPO day, or even, a few months after the stock has gone public. Because I want to make sure that the projections that management and the company put out is real, and it's not fugazi, it's not nonsense. So I pay very close attention to its first quarterly earnings. Did they meet analyst expectations for revenue? Did they meet analyst expectations for EPS? Did they meet gross margin expectations? And how is management doing, right? And over the course of a year, if the company is churning out very good results and they're on track to promising what they would say they would do, then yeah, I would definitely initiate a position there, for sure. Hey, Carl Roth. What's up, Carl? Let me catch up on some of the chats here. We are walking down, I think this is 5th. Or 6th. I can't really see tonight. I don't have any glasses on, so just bear with me there. This should be 5th Avenue, yeah. We are right outside the New School of Design. Hey, Noah, this is very insightful. I will be sure to reach out via email for a copy, much appreciated. Yeah, and in the meantime, if you just type in Life Cycle Trade, so Life Cycle Trade by Kathy Donnelly, Eve Bobach. It's funny, today is Fed Day. We heard from the FOMC. This is a really good shot of the World Trade Center too, all the way in the distance. It's a really good shot. Eve Bobach actually used to work at the Federal Reserve. So she used to work at the Federal Reserve, and now she's a PM, she's a portfolio manager at Ropel Capital Management, based out of Chicago. Great hedge fund. I know the manager very well. He's a great guy. He has a phenomenal track record. He got his start working at Morgan Stanley back in the day when I think he was maybe like 19 or 20. This was way, way back in the day, as pretty much just like a cold call stock jockey, right, at Morgan Stanley. Built his book of business, and now he just manages his own money with a few partners. But check out the book, very good book. So we are walking right outside the New School, which is one of the best schools for design pretty much in the entire world, I think. Lots of creatives, and the building is actually really nice too. Parsons New School of Design. Very, very prestigious design school here. And it seems to be pretty packed. Maybe there was a lot of night classes tonight. Hey, Matt G is here. Says, hey Tom, if you were to allow someone to manage your money today, who would you hire? I don't know. I manage my own money. I don't really want anybody else to manage my money, to be honest. Oh, okay. No, I think this is actually a fun question. If I had like the lion's share pick of whoever I could, okay, I would say I would invest my money with Renaissance Technologies, because they have a CAGR of around 60% consistently. So if I was allowed, right, and I'm definitely not allowed, they would never invite me. If I was allowed to partake in the flagship medallion fund at Renaissance, hell yeah, I would invest in that. They constantly churn out about a 60% KGAR, which is fantastic. So that's who I would say. What about you guys? That's actually a really fun question. If you could have anybody in the world manage your money, who would it be? My pick is, let me get away from this garbage. This is absolutely disgusting. It smells so horrible. So if I had to pick anybody, it would be Renaissance Technologies in their flagship medallion fund that churns out 60% a year. Hey, hang with Mark Mom says hi to yourself. When I was you're in fire, invest 2 hours a day learning how to manage your own money. You have the time. I agree with that, hang with Mark Mom, for sure. But I don't think I can manage money better than Renaissance. 60% a year? My God. Now that's a quant strategy, right? Really, you know, all of the major funds that consistently beat the market, and when I mean market, I'm talking about like the S&P, pretty much almost all of them, all the ones that like crush it are quant strategies. Andrews is 60% a year, come on. Yeah, it's crazy, check it out. Look them up, Renaissance Technologies. It's either 58% or 60%, something wild. All right, where are we now, team? This is West 12th Street and 5th Avenue. And we are gonna head directly down to Washington Square Park. Yeah, Brad's brain says Bernie Madoff had a really good KGAR. That's true, until it was all a Ponzi scheme. D Woods is 60%. I don't believe it. It must be a Ponzi scheme. Well, let's get a quick fact check or a Google search in the chat. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. I am a little bit tired tonight. Black Valley, this is Seth Klarman. Seth Klarman, great book, Margin of Safety. Somebody Google Renaissance Technologies annual return. And I think I'm right. I think it's about 50-something%. All right, we are coming up on NYU, New York University. Mr. Fine Arts is here, what's up? Elias is joining us from Brazil. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna head to the Village tonight. It's a nice night in New York. It's not hot, it's not too humid. Things are cooling down. Matthews is 66%. Richard Vogels is 62%. Yeah, I knew I was right. Now you can read the book. Jim Simons is the CEO and founder of Renaissance. Hey, DAWG, what's up? Says, hey Tom, I seen you yesterday by Flatiron, was too shy to say hi. Hey, dude, say hi anyway. You got to just blast through and say what's up. But thank you for watching, and hopefully you're enjoying yourself in New York. But yeah, say hi, my friend. Hey, Carl Ross says, Tom, my bank helped me set up a trading account. They did a wonderful job helping me with answering all my questions. I really didn't need a manager to watch my money. Very cool. Brad's brain says 62% annually. Yeah, I told you. It's now these people, and it's funny because we talked about this a little bit yesterday. The individuals, people that really run these type of strategies are some of the smartest people in the entire world. Like, you're talking about PhDs in physics and math. It's like they are running very, very complex algorithms to buy and sell stocks within milliseconds, right? And that's why I always say you kind of have to know your competition on Wall Street. And it's funny when I see a lot of these, I'm just going to say charlatans, right? I'm sure we've all seen this, you know, scrolling through YouTube, and then you get like this charlatan YouTube advertisement that's like, you know, follow my Instagram and I'm going to show you how to make $500 a day day trading, and you could do it from the beach, or some just really cringy like charlatan claiming that he makes a lot of money day trading. It's pretty much statistically proven you can't make money day trading if you're not running a quant strategy, right? Now, okay, are there some statistical anomalies? Yes, of course. But for the vast majority of people, it's almost impossible to make money day trading for that reason. And we'll explain it in a little bit. Hey, Chris Tompkins. What's up, Chris? Thank you for your $10 donation. Says, what's the shadiest thing going on Wall Street right now, in your opinion? This is Chris. The shadiest thing? Well, I was very outspoken against all the SPACs, the special purpose acquisition companies. I think all of those, well, I won't say all of them. And I'll just say allegedly, so I don't get sued. I think those were egregious money grabs. And I think the people who brought a lot of those special purpose acquisition companies public knew that they were selling absolute nonsense. And they knew that the revenue projections they were giving, the profitability projections they were giving were just total garbage, and they were lying. That's what I think. Allegedly. Now, we'll sort of talk about why. And if you want to go through an interesting exercise, you can really understand why, if you're buying and selling stocks like every day, right? So you buy and then you sell before the market opens. Before the market closes, that's what I consider day trading. Do some research, right? And you could just do your own study. I think this is actually a good, practice for everybody. Look at intraday market volatility since the 1970s until now. And you'll notice something very interesting about intraday market volatility. I won't give you the answer. I've said the answer many times, but I'll let you do a little bit of homework. It's actually a really good exercise to do. And I'll give you a hint, traders need volatility to make money, right? And since the introduction of quantitative trading, quant market making, and essentially high frequency trading, it's actually made markets much more efficient. So again, as we talk about, you have to sort of know your competition on Wall Street. Who is sort of trading, buying, selling stocks intraday? It's the smartest people in the entire world, literally. It's Ken Griffin at Citadel Securities, it's the people at Jump Trading, to Sigma, the people at Renaissance Technologies who are PhDs in math and physics. I don't want to compete against those people because I can't. I don't have a PhD in math or physics or anything, okay? I barely made it through John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I don't want to compete against them. So what that has done, and there's been studies done on this, mutual fund managers, individual investors, the higher probability that you'll find alpha, right, or you'll seek alpha or make money is by expanding your time horizon, right? Also, if you just continuously buying and selling stocks intraday, here's another thing. The vast majority of a stock's move actually happens when the market's not even open. I'll say that again. The vast majority of a stock's move, or an indices move, or I would just say the market in general, happens when the market is closed. So if you're buying and selling stocks intraday, there's no volatility there, so it's very hard for you to make money, right? This is why, I always say you got to find very good companies, right, that are churning out very strong earnings, that are churning out very strong revenue growth consistently, that have great pre-tax and after-tax margins, and has a business model with a big moat around it. You need to size into a position and sit for at least 6 to 8 beat and raised quarters. Because if you have a stock that which is essentially, let's say if Wall Street expects a stock to earn $2 of EPS on revenue of $1 billion, and the actual result comes in as $2.25 on $1.25 billion, well, guess what? That's a beat on both the top and the bottom line. And let's say if the management of the company, these dogs are adorable here. Let's say if the management of the company says, you know what, prospects are looking so great, we're going to raise our forward guidance for both revenue and profitability. That's a beat and raise quarter. That stock is probably going to be up, 6-7% after hours. If you're buying and selling intraday and churning your account, you're not going to participate in any of that move. So you got to find a company, and this is what Warren Buffett, all the greats say. Find a company that has a strong moat around it, that's consistently churning out earnings, that has great governance, and buy it at a reasonable price, size into the position, and sit with it. Okay? All of this stuff that you see, and I get all these advertisements too. It's like, all these cringy people like in front of like a big sports car or something, that you're like, oh, quit your 9-to-5 job and, come sign up for my Discord and trade off of my alerts. It's nonsense. Anyway, more importantly, guys, look at how gorgeous Washington Square Park looks tonight. This is one of my favorite parts of the city. College is back in session. All of the students are out hanging out after class. The city is really back and the city is alive, and Washington Square Park is absolutely fantastic. Let's go check out the fountain. Oh my God, that guy scared the hell out of me. Hey, Line Sync is here. What's up? Hey, Jennifer, what's up? DAWG says, Tom, my cousin day trades daily, but when market opens, he makes 7 figures yearly. He's been doing it for 10 years. Ah, very nice. TPAC 5000. Good to see you. Lisa, I can't advise on that. So I can't advise where you should put your 401k money. But any reputable organization is fine, like Charles Schwab, T. Rowe Price. But that's really more of a question for your financial advisor. I can't really answer those questions. But just as long as it's a reputable company, that's fine. Ooh, look at this. There's a juggling session going on. This is so cool. Hey, Rafet is here. Says, hey, Tom, what's going on? Not too much. We're just talking about the market, talking about interest rates, and we're watching these really talented jugglers in Washington Square Park. This is a really unique stream. This is one of the reasons why I love New York City, is just because there's something interesting going on all the time. You never know what you're going to run into. And you have this guy trying to learn how to ride the unicycle. He'll get the hang of it in no time. I know, Optimus 17 is only in New York City. You're not going to find this anywhere else. What I used to do in college a lot, like if I had a night off or something, I would just come to Washington Square Park and just people watch. I mean, there's all types of things going on. Especially now that all the college students are back. All right, let's continue to head downtown. You can see the Empire State Building through the arch here. I'll get this shot and then we'll head out. Wow, guys, look at that. I know, someone says you never know what you're gonna see, and then a unicycle comes into the frame. It's just, New York is such a unique city. But look at this shot. That is such a cool shot, guys. You have the fountain, the arch, and then the Empire State Building all the way in the distance. Yeah, Raleigh Hiker, you're right. The other side, you can see the World Trade Center. I'll show you right now. Sometimes, depending on the time of year, because of all the leaves, it can be a little bit difficult to see, but we should be able to see it here in a minute. You can see a little piece of it there. So that's One World Trade Center right behind one of the main NYU buildings. I'm glad we took a little bit of a detour through the park. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams almost every day starting at 8:30. We'd love to have you here. Teresa Diaz, what's up? 10 Red Bluff is here. John, GGNYC. Colton Manning says beautiful, welcome. Carl Ross says people watching is fun too on the weekends. Oh my God, guys, you gotta remind me, excuse me, to come back to Washington Square Park on a Saturday night now that college is back in session. This place is going to be crazy, particularly since the weather is really nice and it's going to continue to be nice for the foreseeable future, knock on wood. We might as well go down to MacDougal Street. But if you continue to walk all the way down here at the end of the block, you're going to run into the Stern School of Business. So the New York University Stern School of Business. Now, I've said it before, but we do have a lot of new people here. One of my favorite professors at NYU is Professor DeModeran, and he teaches corporate finance and securities analysis right here at the Stern School of Business. And he actually uploads a lot of his lectures for free on YouTube. So if you go to Professor DeModeran's YouTube channel, you could actually pretty much take his courses for free online. And it's really cool of him to do that because not everybody can afford to go to business school at one of the best business schools in the world, NYU. So if you're interested in corporate finance, if you're interested in securities analysis, check it out. Also, you can buy the textbook for very, very cheap on Amazon, used. It's called Valuation by DeModeran. Once again, it's called Valuation by DeModeran. You could probably get it for like $50 used, and that is a really, really good book. That's the textbook that the business school students use. This is a good coffee shop. It's on the corner of West 3rd and Thompson Street. It's called Irving Farm. Really good coffee there. Okay, let's head towards the West Village. It's really lively for a Wednesday night. Hey, Glenn Daly's is so envious of the life you guys live there in New York City. It's all good vibes. Hey, come join us, my friend. Come one, come all. Everybody's welcome here. Join the party, join the fun. Sabrina Fair, good to see you. Oh no, this isn't the place. I thought this was, this is Sullivan Street. We have to go over one more. I'm getting a little bit confused since we left the park from the middle. We usually leave the park from the southernmost west side, this most southwest side we usually leave. Hey, Andrews, is what? Oh, I thought that guy was calling me. Yikes. What time do I usually wake up? It depends. It really depends. Maybe around, it really just depends on if I have a meeting early or if I have like a showing really early. Maybe 7:38-ish. Sometimes. Other times I could sleep in and, wake up at 9 if I really have nothing going on. Catch up on some sleep. All right, we finally made it. This is MacDougal Street. This place is really fun during the weekends specifically. You have live music. You have a lot of outdoor dining. This is like the main college town. And I think you also have like a comedy show or comedy cellar. All right, let's, might as well walk it. I hang with Mark Mom, says NYU, the school I couldn't afford, but most of my friends went. Yeah, it's a really good school. It's a very expensive school. But look, it's a really, really good school. It's one of the best schools in the city. Whoa, guys, look at that. Guys, look at that, man. That is a massive hole in the sidewalk and it goes all the way down. I think one of you sent me a Casey Neistat video. Did any of you guys see this? There was a Casey Neistat video on Twitter where he was walking down the sidewalk and there was this huge crack or this huge hole in the sidewalk, and he goes with his hand and pushes it down and it goes all the way to the basement of some building. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the same. You gotta really watch where you're going in the city. Someone says sinkhole to the subway. I mean, it's not the first time it has happened. This is Artichoke Pizza. Very famous pizza spot, but I actually don't even like it. I don't think it's any good, to be honest. This place is always busy, particularly on the weekends. This place always has a line out the door. Melissa 2087 says it's 55 degrees out. No way. It does feel a little chilly, but not 55.
Sorry.
All right, we'll go down to maybe Canal Street or maybe Houston Street. Statement. There's so many people out, which is great to see. Maybe we'll have to come. I think we may be buffering. Let me know if we're still buffering or we should be out of the buffer zone. It's strange. Usually we never buffer on MacDougal Street. Interesting. Anyway, let's continue to head down. We're close to Little Italy. We might as well. Oh, that's right. Yeah, maybe a politician is staying in the neighborhood. It is the UN General Assembly. Peter Webley. Good to see you, Peter. Daryl. No, Daryl, if I turn on airplane mode, that's going to crash the stream, my friend. Let me throw away the...
Are we going to have...
my can, I should say. Okay, Houston Street. Let's go down a little bit further. There's a lot of cool outdoor dining shops here. Hey, custom-built American fire trucks. Always a pleasure to see you. But if you're just joining us, the main topic for tonight's stream was obviously the FOMC meeting. And we got an update on monetary policy. Sharon Lee, don't harass me, just tonight. Hey, Atif says, hey man, Red Hook anytime soon. Yes, tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna be in Red Hook. I have 2 showings and then after that I'm free. So if you wanna connect, I got your email. I don't know if you're working tomorrow, but yeah, let's connect for sure. 1000%. Let's do it. This is a great shot of the World Trade Center looking downtown. But yeah, everybody, I've been getting a lot of emails, like inundated with emails about the migrants. I know about the migrants. I live here. I understand it's a big topic. Everybody wants to know about the migrants, but I don't need an update on the migrants. Or, hey Tom, why don't you go to the hotel and see the migrants because we're paying so much money in taxpayer dollars. Like, I get it, okay? I know about the migrants. I know what's going on. Let's just take it easy on that subject a little bit. We've been sort of beating it like a dead horse. Hey, retired in Florida, what's up?
The white husband.
Retired in Florida. I don't want to answer a question like that, dude. I don't even know why you would ever ask me something like that.
Well, matter of fact, I'm gonna get an ice cup.
All right, let's cross to the south side. Ah, a TIFF. Maybe I could stop by the NYU. I'll stop by, dude, 100%. Tariq Khan, yes, the pause. So we did get a pause, but there was a pretty hawkish stance today, though, Tariq. I think it's pretty clear that the Federal Reserve is going to stay steadfast on their quantitative tightening cycle until we reach our 2% target as it relates to inflation. And right now we're very far away from that. Fed Chair Jerome Powell also addressed the housing market, and he alluded to the fact that the interest rate, I would say, environment has not yet worked its way through the economy, and the economy has not yet felt the full effects of those interest rate hikes, right? And we've sort of covered this for quite some time now, that it takes a while for rate hikes to make a material and a sizable impact on the economy, particularly in the housing market, because it's a less liquid market, right? The equity market reprices very, very fast. Real estate, not so much. One of the Fed's main goals is to get shelter costs down, and in order for them to do that, they need to stay steadfast on leaving interest rates elevated. So if you haven't watched the full speech, I would go back and watch the full speech live and really pay attention to what Jerome Powell is saying. To put it bluntly, it's going to be much higher for longer. That is at least what I took away from it. He said the economy's been much, much more resilient than anybody has expected, which I think he's right. It's much more resilient than I expected. So in order to sort of cool that down, I think monetary conditions are going to stay tighter for longer. And the next big topic that we'll probably be covering a lot on the stream over the next 8 months is a massive repricing in commercial real estate assets, which is going to be very good. It's going to create a lot of opportunity, and I think it's going to create a better product on the market for consumers, which is a good thing. Hey, Capri is here. What's up? Bradley, welcome. Thank you for the great insight. Thank you for being here. Now, market sold off, though, on that sort of news. But, ooh, let's check out this art gallery, actually. Very unique. Now we're headed towards SoHo. So we're going to see a lot of very cool art galleries, a lot of interesting stuff, and then maybe we'll pop into the San Gennaro's Feast. But on the good news, savers are finally being rewarded again. Speaking of glasses, I gotta get a new pair of glasses. I was gonna ask you guys this. I forget the name of the online marketplace for purchasing eyeglasses for cheap. Does anybody know what that website's called? Because I have to get a new pair of glasses because I don't like wearing contacts all the time. Particularly if I go 12 hours a day wearing contacts, my eyes really get to really irritated. Does anybody else have that issue? Is there anybody here in the chat who wears contacts? I've noticed I can do 8 hours wearing contacts, but once I go over 8, they float around my eyes. It gets scratchy. It's not good. Someone says Warby Parker. No, it's not Warby Parker. It's a website. I think it may be called I Buy Direct. Has anybody ever heard of the website I Buy Direct? It's not Warby Parker. I think Warby Parker is very expensive, aren't they? Raleigh Hiker says, have you considered LASIK? I have, actually. I have considered LASIK, but I was going to get it done last year, but I sort of backed out of it. I'm gonna wait on it a little bit, but I have considered LASIK. That's probably what I should do, to be honest. But no, I just wear contacts and I wear glasses. DC3 says I only wear glasses all the time. Wendy England says 1-800-CONTACTS. That's who I use for my contacts, but Steph UF says I've used Zenni. They're good quality. Muddy Mole says the best glasses are from Costco. That's interesting. Huh. Someone says no to LASIK because then you won't, because then when you become middle-aged, you'll possibly still need readers. Interesting. Michelle says Zenny. Let me take a screenshot of this. I really appreciate that, guys, because it's going to be a little bit more comfortable for me to wear glasses, particularly doing the stream. And here's another thing. So totally off topic, but did you know it is the law, this makes sense. I'm not complaining, by the way. It does make sense. If you're riding a motorcycle or a moped, like a scooter or a Vespa in Miami, you have got to have glasses on, like safety goggles, which makes sense. And they do not play around there. Let me tell you that. From my interactions with the police in New York City and my interactions with the police in South Florida, or just Florida in general, oh my God, is it like night and day. I mean, you could do anything you want here and the police just don't care. I'm not trying to be political, I'm just giving an observation. Down there, if you hop on your scooter or your Vespa and you forget to put your glasses on, you will get pulled over 100% of the time. I've already gotten pulled over 3 times for this. They enforce the law like Gestapo down there. It's nuts. Any little thing that you do, boom, you're pulled over automatically. It's wild. So instead of putting the safety glasses on with my contacts, I just want to get regular glasses. This building is gorgeous. This is a classic SoHo style loft. You have these beautiful fire escapes, the amazing cast iron facades. It's really nice. Theos' Florida law enforcement is excellent. They are on top of it, let's just say that. Very, very on top of it. And I notice a difference. Like, I love the NYPD, I support the NYPD, I respect the NYPD, but it's a different breed in Florida. Like, holy hell, do they take their job seriously. And every single cop, and not to drag on this subject, I know you guys can't stand it, but every single police officer, man and woman, that I come across down in Miami Beach, shredded, absolutely jacked, diesel. These people are like animals. But I can't say the same thing about, NYPD, a lot of them, right? But then again, there's more of them. There's like 40,000, but police officers, particularly Florida State Troopers and Miami PD, my God, those are like specimens. They're in shape. They look, it's crazy. They look like military personnel. Anyway, all right, next subject. We're gonna cross the street here and you're gonna see one of the newest and most successful brokerages in the city, actually in the country. This is Serhant, and they're located on the corner of Broome Street and Broadway. And the reason why Ryan Serhant wanted to do this is because Broome Street, during rush hour, the traffic is unbelievable. It's gridlock traffic all the way down to the Holland Tunnel. So as you're sitting at the Holland Tunnel, well, guess what? Your subconscious mind is staring at Serhant, so it's like an advertising, like free advertising for him. I think that's a really good idea. He is like a marketing master, the guy. Now, check out all of these beautiful cast iron facades on these buildings. This one is amazing, this white cast iron facade. This is very iconic and classic to SoHo. Once again, this is the corner of Broome Street and West Broadway. You can kind of see into some of these loft-style apartments. Most of them have ceiling heights of either 10 foot all the way up to 15, sometimes even 19-foot ceiling heights. It's really, really breathtaking. Some of the loft-style apartments in SoHo. It's amazing. Yeah, Jay Grant says, love the white building. SoHo is one of my favorite neighborhoods for sure. It's just the apartments are very unique. I'm not sure if anybody's ever been inside a SoHo loft-style apartment, but they're amazing. I did DAWG. I do know that. So you can ride the motorcycle without a helmet, but I don't understand why you would want to. It's extremely, extremely dangerous. Now, these are the original Belgian block streets in SoHo. Look at how cool that is. It really adds to the whole feel and aesthetic of the neighborhood. It's really beautiful here. Now we're actually, team, we're coming up on one of my listings, which is right on the corner here of Wooster Street and Grand Street. Now, if we could get internet coverage in the building, I would take you on a live apartment tour right now. But unfortunately, there's not very good internet coverage in any of these buildings in SoHo because, again, the big cast iron facades, right? Very, very difficult for, any cellular service to penetrate. But if you want to check out what my listing looks like, and if you want a full exclusive tour, it is a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom, just under 2,000 square foot SoHo loft style apartment. It's really, really breathtaking. This was a complete gut renovation. The developer resurfaced and refinished the 32-ton cast iron facade. You could actually see into Unit 2 that is now occupied. The penthouse is also fully occupied here. But if you want to see an exclusive tour of Unit 3 at 74 Grand Street, just type !Grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat. Once again, !Grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat. And I filmed an exclusive property tour for you guys. So if you want to check out exactly what it's like to live in a SoHo loft with 10-foot ceilings, check it out. Right here, 74 Grand Street. And if you're interested in purchasing or renting a loft in SoHo, reach out to me, send me an email. We got an amazing property on the market right now, right here. I really wish there was internet in the building because I would take you guys in there right now and do an impromptu live stream. But the internet is very tough to come by in these cast iron facades. But I'll quickly show you the listing. So here it is. So it's a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment. And we have the listing here at the Kirsten Jordan team and Douglas Elliman. This is your virtual doorman here. You can kind of see us on camera. And we have an open house tomorrow if you want to come by. I'll be here between the hours of 2 and 4, I think. Yeah, come by. Say hi. I'll give you a tour in person if you want. Tomorrow at 2. This building I really like too. The classic white cast iron facade. Hey, Limitless NYC says, Tom, is the unit staged? Yeah, so the unit is fully staged. We may swap out the staging, but that is to be determined. We were discussing that today. Now it's on the market for rent, but we're really trying to push the sponsor to list it for sale. I think, in that type of building, it's probably better for sales, not rentals, but it is on the market for rent. Might as well go to Little Italy now, since we're here. We'll check out the Feast of San Gennaro. Hey, SoHo Joe, what's up? Soho Joe, we're walking your neighborhood tonight. This is Mercer Street. Now from Mercer Street, you can see all the way to the Chrysler building in the distance. I really like Soho. It's very unique neighborhood. Oh yeah, I remember that night. When I had to put up the sign, I put you guys down. I went back and looked at some of the comments. You guys were so worried that we might get stolen. Trust me, that would never happen. Stormy says, Stephanie has a question, Thomas. What is the question? Let me see if I can go back in the chats. I apologize if I'm missing anything. Stephanie says, will you settle for $3,000 a month? For you, yes. We'll lock in the deal. This is Broadway. This is really the main drag here in Soho, where a lot of the shops, the boutiques, everything really happens here. But if you go all the way down, you run into Canal Street. Hey, Pedro, what's up? This is Tom, Pedro from Brazil. What's up, Pedro? How do you see the US market for foreigners in the NYC tech industry? How do I see the market for foreigners in the NYC tech industry? Could you maybe explain that, what you mean? Like you're talking about the job market? Like, are you looking to get a visa, like a work visa, H-1B, to work at a tech company here? I'll assume that was maybe the question. And I believe you have to get a sponsor. I think your company has to sponsor you for an H-1B visa or any type of work visa. And then it is a lottery process. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of foreign workers, a lot of H-1B workers here. Unfortunately, it's a lot harder than it used to be for H-1B. We're seeing something really interesting in the market where there's a record number of people applying for an H-1B visa and some of the lowest levels of acceptance. So it can sometimes take 3 years to get an H-1B visa, which is a really long wait. And that's even if your company chooses to sponsor you for the visa. You still have to wait because it's a lottery system. I believe it may be ranked based upon qualifications, but I'm not too sure. So for example, if you have a master's degree or some sort of advanced degree, you may have higher odds of getting selected. But then again, I'm not too sure 100%. Okay, everybody, we have finally made it. We are here at the Feast of San Gennaro. Let's cross, headed southbound, and we'll check out the feast. But if you're enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new on this very exciting Fed Day. I think it may close up at 10:30 or 11 o'clock. We'll see. We'll take a quick walk around. Hey, Tommy G, what's up? This is Baxter Street. This is the famous Ferris wheel here. Let's see if some of the crowds died down. Maybe we could have a chance to walk through without being sandwiched in so much. If you remember, I believe we came here on the second night of the feast and it was so crowded we could barely even move. I think this is where I may have dinner tonight. I didn't eat yet, so. My favorite bakery in all of Manhattan, pretty much, is right in front of us. This is Ferrara. It has amazing Italian pastries and it's been here for a while. This is Mulberry Street, for those of you who are wondering. It's still pretty crowded for a Wednesday night. Nowhere near as crowded as it was when we came here on the weekend, but it's still pretty crowded. And I think this is the 50th anniversary of the Cannoli King. They actually have their own light. It says happy 50th anniversary of the Cannoli King. All right, let's give a quick walkthrough. We'll head up by Ferrara though first. Just because there's less people, probably a little bit easier to walk through. We'll see. So I think on the outside they have all the gelato and everything set up, and on the inside is where they have the pastries. Now this was established in 1892, so this has been here a while. This is like a staple of Little Italy. Very iconic place. Hey, Hawaii, what's up? So sorry I'm late. I'm on Hawaiian time. No problem, you're right on time. Good to see you. We were just talking about, had a pretty good conversation about rates tonight. Obviously today was the conclusion of the FOMC meeting, where we did get a pause in the hiking cycle. Although the Federal Reserve is still letting assets run off the balance sheet. Let's see if I can get you guys inside Ferrara. Might as well try, right? Show everybody what we got going on in here. This is a really great place. The pastries are fantastic.
Come on, White. Come on. I stand right here.
Ooh, this looks good. Coffee dessert recipe. Wow, a gelato espresso, that looks fantastic. That looks really good, actually. So you could see, since 1892, wow, 100 years of excellence. Now this is the line, you'll see all of the pastries at the counter. This place looks really good. I've been here many, many times. Wow. I'll have to take a quick stop by before I head back up to the Upper West Side tonight.
I'll drink more of it if you... Okay. Twisted my arm.
Walkable, just so you can see at least some of the shops that are just starting to close up. I think if you're going to come, this is probably the best time to attend because the crowds are thinning out a little bit, which is good. I know, SoHo Joe says, love the city, action everywhere. Really is. I mean, you had Madison Square Park, just so much stuff going on all the time, which is great. Someone says, what are my dinner plans? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, one for yourself. I don't.
sausage peppers? Probably. Maybe. Oh, this is where they do the hand-rolled cigars. That kind of reminds me of being in Miami. There's always those shops all over, particularly like Mid-Beach, North Beach. Hey, Austin City Limits, what's up? Oh my God, Hawaii, it's your birthday? Happy birthday. How did we miss that? We can't miss that. We got to do a special birthday edition stream for Hawaii. Hopefully you're going to do something fun this weekend. I think this is going to be what? Hawaii's 28th birthday? 28 already. Hawaii. Congratulations. Happy birthday. We're now officially the same age. The best is yet to come, right? If you were in the city, I'd buy you an Italian pastry, a lobster tail, because those are my favorites. It's either between a cannoli or a lobster tail, the top two for me. From Ferrara. This is sort of the back way, behind all the setup here. And I think tomorrow what we'll do, we'll walk across the Manhattan Bridge. We walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. We have yet to hit the Manhattan Bridge. And tomorrow is supposed to be similar weather to today. So we might as well do it.
I know people in it. Really nice lady there.
This bar is always packed. I can only imagine how much business they're doing now, since it's the Feast of San Gennaro. Let's go to the left and get out of the crowd a little bit. On every side street, they put a little bit of a barricade. Cleveland Street. This little square here used to be like a big skateboarding spot. Let's see if there's any skateboarders. Probably not tonight because there's so many police officers, but I remember when I was a college kid, this would be like the spot for skating. House cuts is how much is the sale? How much? It's $15.50, which is actually $5 less than last year, if you can believe that. So it's super, super expensive, but it's the Feast of San Gennaro, so it's always going to be elevated, the prices. But this spot right here used to be the skating spot. This in Madison Square Park. I'm surprised there's no skaters here. Maybe they sort of cleaned the area up. But this like used to be the spot for skating. Down here is actually a good Egyptian place called Zuba. Anybody here from Egypt? We usually have like a few viewers tuning in from Egypt. I know Mohammed's from Egypt. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight. I know, Brad's brain, right? Funny. All right, this is Zuba across the street. It's unfortunately closed now. Got a little bit of a scuffle going on across the street, I think. All right, so to round out the stream, just a little bit of a recap. Main events tonight, or I should say today on Wall Street. We had the conclusion of the FOMC meeting. If you have not yet watched Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's speech, I would definitely watch that. The verbiage or the narrative is higher for longer. And there's probably going to be at least one more interest rate hike before the end of the year. So it's quite possible we will be ending 2023 at a 5% Fed funds rate. It is possible, depending on how these two inflation reports come out. I should say these next two. I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on the housing market, which is going to create a lot of opportunity for people, particularly on the commercial side, as well as the residential side. Oh, and I forgot, a little bit of an update. If anybody watches Fox Business, my boss was live on Fox Business today, and you could go and watch the replay. So if you want to know our market update from the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman, just go to Fox Business and you could watch that update. I believe Kirsten Jordan will be on again in 2 days, or excuse me, on Monday on Fox Business, giving a market update from our team. So that is going to be cool. All right, everybody, we will end it here because I'm starving. I think I'm going to get something to eat. And yeah, all right, cool. Tomorrow we're going to walk across the Manhattan Bridge. The views are going to be amazing. I'm really excited for that stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the stream tonight. If you want to watch any of our property tours from any of our listings, subscribe to the channel or just click !grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat. Once again, !grand, and it'll drop all of our property tour listings. So Optimus 17 out and about, SoHo Joe. Good to see you, NAV0407. Big shout out to our friend Hawaii. A very New York happy birthday to you. JC, appreciate it. Steph UF, Hoodad Dave, appreciate you very much. Joseph Hardaway, Wendy England, there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'll see all of you back here live tomorrow from the Manhattan Bridge. Bring your walking shoes and maybe bring a little bit of a jacket. It's going to be cold. See you guys tomorrow.